Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of UJ Sport on UJTV. My name is Colin Maepa, and I'm the communications coordinator for UJ Sport. For this special episode, this conversation today, we're recording from the UJ Arts Theatre at the Kingsway campus, and my guest today is none other than the famous, the most achieving former rower, Sizwe Ndlovu. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He took the precious gold medal in the London 2012 Olympics, and he's here to tell his story today. Welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks, and you, Colin?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to be here.
How's UJ treating you?
UJ has always treated me very well.
Yeah.
It's been good so far.
Yeah.
Good start of the year. Obviously, there are a few challenges, but yeah, we deal with those every day.
Yeah.
But still happy to be at UJ.
Happy to be here. So let's get straight into it, Sizwe. You have done rowing, boats, water, from a township somewhere in KZN. And when I look at you, I see a guy that lives a well-balanced lifestyle, I've seen you, I know you because I work with you. So, yeah. Tell me, where do you come from? How was your childhood like? And how did you get into the sport?
Going back to the well-balanced life.
Yeah.
It is balanced, but yeah, I'll just give you a bit of background about myself.
Yeah.
That's one of those South African stories that we have lived, and we still hear lots of those stories today. So there was no rowing in the township where I grew up. There still isn't, but it all began in 1996. So I was born in Para and I was raised back in Newcastle, in Matateni. And other part of my life was in Effortkrust, Evuguzak. So my mother's side is from Effortkrust in Mpumalanga, and my dad's side is from Newcastle, and so those are the two areas where I lived, and
which is close to each other.
Next door neighbors. It's just more like going to the next gate. Yeah. It's about 45 minutes drive.
Yeah.
So I was there. We've never had the so-called rowing, the white sport. It's regarded as white sport now. What we had then was Indlamo, Eskolweni, there was a choir, and there was athletics and soccer. And there was no rugby in my time. I mean, when I say my time, I mustn't give out my age.
Yeah.
But there was around about in the 90s, somewhere mid-90s. And so I only did choir at school, and I tried a bit of Indlamo. I'm a right side, but I work with my left. What I'm trying to say is I'm a very stiff person, so I'm not a good dancer, but a very good rhythm guy in a boat. So I did Indlamo and I did choir, and I did a bit of athletics.
What is Indlamo?
Indlamo. Yeah. Indlamo is a traditional dance. Zulu traditional dance.
Ukita.
Yeah, Ukita.
Oh,
thank you. Yeah,
okay.
Indlamo. So Ukita, Kshama drums. So you'll get a drummer there, and you get a group of guys performing. So schools used to compete with each other.
I used to love that stuff growing up, Yes. The cultural stuff.
I'm not sure if it still happens now and then, but it was big then. So that's what I did at school. And then how I got into rowing, I used to visit my mother every year. Let me say, I used to see my mother 3 to 4 times a year. 5 times if I'm lucky. Obviously, that's during school holidays.
Was your mother working somewhere far from home?
As I said, it's one of those South African stories. So my mother was here in Johannesburg, the south of Mondio. So that's where she worked as a domestic worker.
Okay.
And my dad was a taxi driver in Soweto. He also lived there in Soweto. So I basically grew up with my grandparents. Back at home, we were raised by my grandparents. My mother used to just send money and support us, basically. So I just see my mother, I think both my parents, Easter holidays, June holidays, I think September, that week holiday, there's a week in September, and in December. Yeah, so that was a yearly schedule. So if my mother didn't come down at home.
The usual story for any black child.
Exactly.
In the rural areas or townships, of course.
So I used to enjoy obviously coming more than her coming that side. If we then see her some other time would be the weekends where she would come. As I was born now, where if she was lucky, she'll get a weekend or two once a year. Because the employer used to travel quite a lot. So how I got into rowing, it happened that 1995, end of 94, going to 95. I'd come for a holiday, one of those December holidays. And as you know, I had tons of friends that side at home, and then I had the white friends in Joburg. It happened that for some reason that year, my friends this side, the white friends, didn't want me to go back home. I also don't want to go back home. It was one of those we see them the whole of December.
Yeah.
Now it's January 1995. We go back home. School starts again. And I was supposed to go to grade 7 that year.
I'm interested in that one. So the language barrier, were you fluent in English or Afrikaans or, you know, I mean, I'm thinking you're coming from a township in KZN, you must be speaking raw Zulu.
Yeah, raw
And then
Zulu.
you come up to Joburg, then you've got white friends who speak English or Afrikaans.
Yeah, so both the English and Afrikaans were the kitchen, English Afrikaans. So the basic, you know, they're getting along every day.
Kids always know how to get along,
Yes.
despite the obstacles.
The obstacles.
Yeah.
So it is either sign language or you talk to each other or you do what, you know, when we used to play soccer, we used to swim. And that's how I learned to swim, by the way. So I had a language barrier, you knowing that you're coming from KZN and your first language is Zulu, followed by the next language is Afrikaans at that time. And then English, it was there or not.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my English barrier, by the way. So at that time when I came through, I was supposed to, as I said, I was here for that December 94, end of 94. So 95, I was supposed to go back home. And I then asked my mother, because my friends like, listen, dude, how about you stay? You know, it's been a good time. Can you not just go to the school? And the school, Mondio Primary, was 20 minutes away. Mondio High was also about 20 minutes away. They're just about this different.
Closer,
closer to each other. And so, I speak to my mother. My mother was scared. I was like, hey, my employer, I need to speak to my boss. My mother goes, speaks to the boss. The boss says,
Sharp.
Are you going to afford the school fees? Like, let's see. That time, the school fees was 1,500 Rand. My mother's income is 800
Annually or per month?
Per month.
Oof.
So, and my mother earns 800 Rand a month. So the boss says yes, and okay, how are we going to do this? And the plan was that I will work and find some part-time jobs after school and the weekends. So we agree, but there was still a next step that needed to be done, go to Mondio Primary and try and find the school. I was around about 14, 13, going to 14. And so we go to Mondio Primary. Mondio Primary says, no, applications were closed last year, and you must live in this area. So my mother's boss gets involved, like, this child lives in this area, we'll go attend any of the school. So they said, no, there's no space, try Mondio High. And Mondio High is obviously grade 8. I was supposed to grade 7. And so we go to Mondio. Mondio says, yeah, we've got space. Since you're supposed to grade 7, you need to write an aptitude test. So I write an aptitude test with obviously the kitchen English and the kitchen Afrikaans. I don't know how I passed. I passed, made it, and I was accepted in Mondio. And that's where it started. So that's where I learned rowing. That year, in the beginning of 95.
So these kids that you grew up, the white kids that you grew up with, were they always doing rowing as a sport, or were they just swimming?
None of them actually did rowing. They were neighbors, friends of neighbors, my boss's stepson, and I had other friends that actually along on the street down the road. So it was all neighbors and then just the street friends. And we used to just play soccer. We used to swim together. We used to go ride bicycles together. It was all the stupid games, go to the hills in the south, go dig out snakes and, all of those things. That us as blacks, we used to skate. So, I mean, I got my fears out of that from there. So none of them had rowing experience or known rowing, and had nothing. For me, all it was when I got into this world, this side of Johannesburg, there were a lot of opportunities, there were a lot of things I actually didn't know. So, long story, back to the story, you got accepted in Mondio, and that's where it started. Still then, obviously, one of those things when you get to any high schools, you're encouraged. But it was more like forced. You need to do a sport, winter sports, summer sports, autumn, like that. So we got given a list. All grades were sitting in the hall. I mean, grade 8 was sat in the hall on the floor. You all sit in your grade A, grade 8, A, B to F. You're given the form, choose what sport you're going to do. And there was water polo, and there was rugby, and it was athletics. There were names just like I didn't know, you know, typical Zulu boy, Gazuluto. So I look, okay, I'm going to try rugby, I'm going to try athletics. I know 1.5, 800. I choose water polo. Rowing was there, also didn't sit in the list. But I choose water polo. I'm like, this sounds great. Don't know what that is. I go to water polo, realize water polo, it's a ball in the water.
Ball in the water.
I'm
You
not a
have to
good swimmer.
swim.
Yeah. And at that time, we were those naughty kids that weren't allowed to go to the dams, because you know most of the stigma, like, you know, our parents like, hey,
Yeah.
you don't go there. So we used to be the naughty ones, and then it's hot. Those areas are hot in summer. So we used to get a rope or belt, put elo in them, 2-liter bottles, and then we go kick. If we get found in the water, we used to get beaten. You know, any parent that used to go past, in front of them and say, but we'll dry out free kai or sumpunga, all of those. That's how I learned to float. So I decided, no, let me go water polo. Can I play goalkeeper? I can hang in the net when I'm tired. You know, it was easy. And I did. It worked out. You laugh.
That was so funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to be fit. I mean, I didn't know all of it. So you got to be fit.
I can just picture you know.
So I used to sit and watch them. I mean, I said the first time I watched, okay, there's a backline, there's a front. But like, it's not like soccer where you keep your position there. You just see everyone going.
Yeah.
Like, how? Okay, maybe they do walk in the
So were there other black kids that were playing also in your team?
Yeah, we had many. I mean, not even more than 5 of us were there. I think there were probably 3, if anything.
How about you?
Yeah, how about you? So it was still all early those days, like white school, co-ed schools. There were a few township parents that had moved into the white areas. So there was like 1 or 2, one of those. And so, I was at water polo. I see him like, hey, man, here, is it a deep end? Is it a shallow end?
Yeah.
And it's always played in a deep end.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, ma'am, I'll play goalkeeper. I remember Mrs. Friedenthal was the coach at the time. I'm like, no, I'll play goalkeeper. Because, you know, when the ball is outside, you get to hang on to the wall and rest. So I'll play that, but then 2-3 weeks down the line, they were short of swimmers. The school was short of swimmers, the inter-hiding and all of that stuff. I'm like, hey, water polo players go to swim. I said, sorry, ma'am, I can't do that. I can't swim. Like, you know, I play this because I enjoy it. I want some activity. That activity, swimming across 50 meters in front of the whole school, in front of other high school, representing your inter-house, it's not going to work for me. It's embarrassment.
Yeah.
So it was a force, and if you don't do it, you quit and find another sport. I took that one. I said, I'll take the ticket. I'll find another sport. And so I think there were 3 of us. Yeah, there were 3 of us. We find another black guy, and then there were 4 of us. We look for another sport. At that time, the headmaster, the late headmaster, Tom Price, was looking for rowers of color like us. So we're like, okay, what is rowing? Boats on the water. Okay, this is almost similar.
So your story always had to do with water somehow when you got there.
Honestly, I love water. I'm one of those, just I love water. When I play in the water,
Yeah.
it's those. So I did water. The other 3, I don't know, which but got into Mr. Price's office. He saw water. He was in charge of rowing, Mr. Price. It's like, boys, come through. We come through. You see now there's rowing machines in the gym. There's gym. They do all of that. Now, only to find out, after school, they get into a school bus. It takes them to Wemapen. That's where the rowing's done. And then also another thing, they do rowing camps over weekends. Excited.
Is that exciting for you at that time, or are you still discovering what is all this
Both.
about?
So at that time, there was excitement. There was discovering. There's rowing camps. What is camp? Okay, camp is when you go away, you sleep on. For me, camp is like sleeping on a tent. You know what I mean? You cook your own food. So I don't figure out, don't understand how I'm going to do this, but let me see. So I go rowing camp. Oh, okay, rowing camp goes to Rodeplaat. There's a big hole there. There's mattresses. I mean, we asked to bring blow-up beds, which I didn't have, but they always had spares. Go there. Oh, there's a blow-up bed. There's stuff. Camp doesn't mean I have to sleep in a tent. So get there. No, there's extra beds. There's extra stuff. You have to bring your plate, your cup, and all of those things. But there's always extras, as I said.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And then we were catered. I mean, I think obviously the headmaster and the coaches and the teachers who were involved had plans for us as well. So that's how it started. I mean, I was put into water, like, do you know how to row? No, never been in the water. We explained.
So since then, you've never even tried the other stuff like rugby or athletics or football or?
No,
the
I
stuff
tried.
that you had actually wanted
Wanted to do,
ticked
yeah.
on your list when you were choosing a sport?
No, I did, because remember rowing was only summer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
rugby was winter, and athletics was also in between there. Just what's it? Autumn.
Yeah.
Or what's the other season?
I don't know how they did it here in Joburg, but in our schools, athletics season usually was from January up until April, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably yeah. Pretty much similar, if not later, just before summer. It was warm. It wasn't cold.
Yeah.
So rugby was winter, and rowing was September until March. Not March, yeah, early March, and then you had then athletics, and then you had rugby after. So I'd already tried. Some I tried, some I had not tried. So that year, obviously, I just tried rowing, and then I was like, no, I'm going to stick to this thing. I love it.
Yeah.
I was just hooked.
So from that time, that's when you discovered that this is actually what I want to do. Did you have an idea that you want to do this for life? Or was it just, I'm going to do this because I'm enjoying it, I'm in this school for now, and I'll see when I finish school, then I'll see what I can do?
I'll tell you the funny story. Later to realize when I started rowing that I realized that you travel quite a lot. So you miss school as well. So this was something I was trying out, this is something I was doing at school. The fact that I was missing class, my Afrikaans class,
Yeah.
and probably the difficult one, the science class, I was happy, and accounting, I was happy to be away.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky because our headmaster used to, I would miss class and go to his office, and he would help us with homework.
Yeah.
I was one of those, like, say, I can't do this. Like, okay, come. So before you was a science teacher at CARES, before he became a headmaster in Mondia. So he's been a science teacher, maths, and all of those things. It was like he knew everything.
Yeah.
So I'd go to his office. If I didn't do my homework, I didn't do my homework. Would sit, and I would get a note to go to class the last 10 minutes to say, Sizwe was with me.
Yeah.
You know, after submit. So
Getting off
for me,
scot-free.
that was, it got me away from class. 'Cause
Yeah.
there was still that barrier, you've just got into a white school, co-ed, it was just, everything was new, and it was like, I was still nervous and still scared.
Yeah.
There were a lot of barriers that you were breaking at that time. So it was just, I didn't know I would be there for the rest of my life. I didn't know it was going to change my life or anything. I was just doing sport. In fact, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I finished matric in Mondio, not knowing what I wanted to study.
And when did you turn professional? When did you start doing rowing as a professional sport?
I think I realized when I got to this university.
And when was that?
2000. I got a bursary. So
Here, when it was still Ren Afrikaans.
Afrikaans University, yeah, Rao.
All right, yeah.
When my blood was still purple before it became orange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my blood has changed quite a lot from blue and Mondio to Rao,
Yeah.
purple, and green. It was green, red, and black.
Yeah.
And then it got to orange.
Orange,
so that's when I was offered a bursary. So just slightly back to reverse Mondio. So then I didn't have to pay. My mother didn't have to pay school fees when I started.
Because you were
rowing.
doing sport.
Because I was doing sport. So
So that was seen as a scholarship.
a scholarship, yeah. So from grade 9, because I started the following year, the year before. So that's why I tried the rugby, the athletics. So now every Monday I used to be at the hall receiving my certificate because of cross country. I used to win the cross countries. You were that kid that came from the township, from the rural areas. I mean, back at home, the life was tough. We used to pushing all over and my school in so that my boy your commands school was far. From here to live.
So your life changed drastically when you moved to Joburg.
Yes.
And your life changed even more drastically when you won the gold medal at the 2012 London Olympics. Can you tell us the feeling, man? How does it feel to win that medal, stand on that stage and have the whole world watching you sing the national anthem?
It was unreal. Till today, there's no word to describe it. I've never actually found a word to describe it. It was unreal. I didn't believe it. To me, it was like winning another. I mean, prior to that, I've never won an event internationally. So
was that your first international participation?
No.
No.
My first international participation was when I was still at Mondio High. But then it was one of those things, transformation. 2 of us were selected. We had a guy, Karabo, from St. Benedict's, and I was from Mondio. So every year, every season, national junior squad gets selected from schools. The heads of rowing, they will send their top rowers for trials and get selected. But I was nowhere there. So that was a year they were looking for transformation and all that. So we were sent as transformation. And for me, that's when I realized I want to do this, because that's when I realized when I got to Holland the first time. Like, wow, this is a sport, proper sport. There's man-made dams. There's the whole world was there to compete. So, I mean, I came last that time. And when I went back for the second time, was my matric year. The year before I was going to come to 99. And then I was selected as merit. You know, I made the squad. We came ninth in a quad. And this was a 4-man with the 2 blades. I was in the front of the boat in the bow. So from then, that's when I realized this is taking me somewhere. I want to do this for life. You know, I came from the area where I'm in places where if you were a doctor or a policeman, a teacher, or work for a government municipality, you made it in life. So, as I say, I got to matric not knowing. So lawyer, accountant, and all those things, I got into this environment. What is that? You know, you still figure it out. Grade 10, when you had your academic advisor came from different varsities to say advisors, I was into rowing. You know what I mean? It was just rowing. I just got into overseas, got back. I had no clue. So that's when life sort of changed. Like, okay, let me go rowing. So basically, rowing directed me to my success, to change
your
my
entire career.
My entire career.
Yeah. So, by the way, for those of you who have just joined the conversation, we're speaking to Sizwe Ndlovu. He's the rowing manager and coach at the University of Johannesburg, and he's the 2012 London Olympic gold medalist. He won that medal together with James Thompson, John Smith, and Matthew Brittain. They were participating in the men's lightweight coxless 4 event at the Olympics. Yeah. So then let's talk post the Olympics. You won the gold medal. How much money did they give you? I'm more interested in the Machangura.
That's the
and do you still have the gold medal? Do you keep it, or do they keep it for you somewhere safe?
No. You keep
it yourself.
The medal is yours.
Yeah.
You keep it for lifetime.
And how much is it worth?
2012, it was worth, I mean, I believe 30% of it's gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not that much. I mean, this thing it's
huge,
you know, it's huge.
It was
quite
heavy.
It weighs about 800 to 900 grams. So it's close to a kg. I mean, if you go to the history, Olympic medals used to be this small.
Yeah.
When I look at this. So it's huge. Once you win it, you keep it, it's yours. You also get it has a specific number, which is yours, goes into the history Olympic.
So nobody can steal it from you.
No, some
nobody
people can steal it.
Well, they can steal it, but they can't claim it's theirs. So
it's theirs,
use it for whatever, yeah.
So whether they can make you a copy of it, I'm not too sure. I don't think that can happen as well, but the number is there to say.
And how much money did the South African government give you?
As I said, that's a question you get from every, I think since 2012 until now, when I go do this school talks with the kids, it's always a question, how much did you get? So rowing is a team sport, it's regarded as a team sport. And
the whole group, how much?
The whole group.
Yeah.
So with the whole group, it was 450,000 rand.
And it was a lot of money back then, right?
Yeah. Well, then it was a lot of money also, but lifestyle also was a bit higher, not as today.
Yeah.
So that 450,000 rand you had to then divide it with the 4 people.
With the 4 people, yeah.
And plus tax. So I ended up, so I remember that year, Custa had got at 80,000 rand for 3rd place. And so I got at 80,000 rand.
For gold.
For gold. So, you know, because the other 4 people had to share. And also the coaches. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Were there any packs that came after, added to that money? I mean, I understand if you win a gold medal, then there's a whole lot of other opportunities that come with that. You get to do ads or get sponsored or stuff. Did that come for you?
So, yeah, we had a few sponsors. We had 1 or 2 sponsors that came through, and one of them is still, sponsoring South Africa now, but it came that later stage. There weren't much packs. So you had one of those free giveaways and stuff. They're there for a short while. But the opportunities, for me, that's what it came with after Olympics. it just changed my life. It was just like, as I was traveling as an athlete, now I was traveling as a motivator. I was started to travel the world, Africa, and walking to corporate offices and, you know, talking to staff, talking to team leaders, talking to,
Just
you know,
talking
CEOs.
inspiration everywhere.
Yeah, inspiration. So for me, those are the packs it came with.
And speaking of traveling, you also went to the Syrian refugee camp that was set up in Greece. I think Greece is one of the countries that had taken in refugees from the Syrian war that happened during that time. So you spoke to some kids there. You went to see for yourself how it is like to live in a refugee camp. I saw the video on the Olympic website. It was a very hectic one. How was the feeling for you? What did you learn from that situation?
Yeah, that was one of the IOC projects. Obviously, what they do with the funds they generate from the Olympics is obviously give back into communities, things like that, and support the refugee camps. Because I mean, as we know, that refugee camps is people that obviously are stuck in the middle of nowhere, nowhere to go, and
living in tents, in the middle of nowhere, at petrol stations.
Exactly, as you see. So I was lucky as I was asked or selected as one of those superstars to go and motivate and, you know, try and just speak some, I will not speak, but just to create some hope, you know, athletes, find some athletes there. So it was one of those sad moments to see how tough it is. You know, you think my story or our stories that we hear every day in South Africa are one of those sad stories. There are more hard stories
people
out there.
That are devastated.
Those guys So that was one of those projects where I had to go through and experience life, people sleeping in the road, in a tent. You know, you're in limbo. You know, you don't know where the next meal is coming from. You don't know where water, or you don't have a bath, you don't have anything. And so I was there to motivate and see how life is. I got involved, I got to feel, got to understand, or maybe not feel, but understand the whole refugee camps and stuff. So I was there to motivate, because there were also some sports.
So you spoke to a wheelchair basketball guy who had a disability. And then you spoke to some kids. You also played badminton with one of the guys there.
And soccer as well.
And soccer. So what did you pick from interacting with those guys? What were some of the lessons for you that you picked personally?
I mean, you spoke about the wheelchair guy. You mentioned the wheelchair guy, the wheelchair. For me, it was about getting into shoes. You know, it's always, you said it looks easier when you're sitting out there and watching this person, like, oh no, that is easy, I can do it. You realize how much challenges these guys have from the wheelchair.
Did you? I saw he lost one of his limbs.
Yeah.
Did he lose that during the bombardment in Syria?
So he lost that. He lost his
foot
in Syria during the war and all of that stuff, and escaping, getting through out of there. So some of them, all of them actually got injured. Let me say that some of them, the majority of those guys got injured during the war, and some of them were sports.
And not just injured physically, but emotionally as well, psychologically. Yeah.
So they were already taking sports at that time, and so there were extra challenges for them, and it was not having a home. So it was just to get into their shoes and create hope, you know,
When you come back to South Africa, do you look at life in a different way after seeing those scenes, after speaking to those guys? And what became your outlook in terms of your life and your surroundings and people around you here? Did you become more grateful for the life that you have, the country you live in, you know, the opportunities you have been exposed to?
You've said the word, grateful. I got back. I mean, we're in a country where a lot of people complain a lot. You know, we all have challenges and understand it's challenges. But I saw life differently from then. I started being more grateful for what I have. I'm not saying, I'm just looking for the word to describe this. But yeah, I saw things differently. Like, you know, it's not easy for everyone. You got to get up and do something for you to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, you got to work hard for
To
anything.
become something in life.
Yeah, to become something in your life.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and feel sorry for yourself and like, oh, you know, what is the government doing for me? What is this person doing for me? There are many ways, and sports is one of those things. I mean, that actually, as I said, it changed my life. It directed me to the career that I'm in. So for those guys, for what I experienced in Greece, compared to my life story, it was something else. I thought I had it the worst. I thought me getting up at 4 o'clock, going to school, getting ready, and walk 10 Ks to school, pushing the wheelchair, but I thought that was a punishment. You know, why is this happening to me? And when you see how those guys lived and see how the tough life that we live in, it was nothing. I was a king, this side, compared to what they were going through. So yeah, it changed my life. It changed my thinking. It changed everything.
Yeah. So let's talk about your Olympic gold medal, right? You have, after you won the gold medal, there hasn't been any group that won a gold medal at the Olympics. That means you've set a record for the South African history in that sport. How does that make you feel? Do you think we have enough talent to come and take from where you left off?
That's history. You know, it's not just South Africa for me. And I'll come back to your question. It's Africa as a whole. You know, just Africa. It's the first Olympic gold medal
For Africa.
for Africa, not just South Africa.
In
fact, I think the
rowing.
world, as well. I haven't seen any black men in a team in a lightweight coxless 4. Sadly, that event is cancelled. It's gone. There's now lightweight rowing, lightweight double that's left. It's also its last event. It's going to be next year. There are many reasons because of lightweight rowing, but now there's coastal rowing and other events that come through. And that's just to bring gender equity. Yeah. So there are more events for women that way. So it's 50-50. That's just from the IOC side of things. But yeah, to answer your question, so yeah, I checked. To answer your question about, your question was again?
Do you think we've got the talent to take off from where you left?
The talent is there. We've got a lot of talent. As I said to you, I mean, there's still no rowing in those townships. There are projects, obviously, that now comes from us, from me, not just Sizwe, but when I say from us, from sports, from federation, from rowing community, from clubs, schools, university, to look for the talent. Talent, as I said, the talent will always be there. The challenge is obviously is that what we have is the dams we have in South Africa. We're able to access those dams to have sports in there, and also the different culture and changing the mindset from people about water, you know, just knowledge, you know, getting involved. So to teach people not to be scared of water. I mean, you and I know that there's still a stigma of the sayings, you know, stay away from the dams, stay away from there. So there's a lot of potential. We need to go out there and find it. And where they are as well, when I say where they are as well, I'm talking about school, I'm talking about kids from schools, from disadvantaged schools, from township to rural areas. We need to have access for them. We need to create access to those athletes. We need to go out there. Already there is a project that's run by Rowing South Africa by Lady Virginia Mabaso. It's an indoor rowing, and that she started she's trying to get through to all the districts, to all the communities where schools take challenge just indoor rowing, rowing machines. And twice a year we have a camp. Currently, as we speak, there's a camp here in Wemapen. Schools from Mpumalanga, schools from Northwest, schools from Polokwane and KZN are here training in a team event, which then they'll take part in senior SHMs in 2 months' time. So there's a lot of talent out there. Whether we still see, I would like to see another Sizwe Ndlovu from that talent. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and obviously, yes, it needs a lot of investment into it. We need
sure.
corporates. We need everyone to assist. And we need government to help us, which already government is doing its work. Department of Sports. We need Lotto. We need everyone.
So obviously the stuff that you just said now speaks to your work in the Athletes Commission, which you were appointed to the SASCOC Athlete Commission as a member. Please take us through what is your role in that commission. And I know that there's a couple of other young guys, not necessarily young because these guys are some of the retired athletes, but they have done well for South Africa. They bring in the knowledge and stuff. What are you guys expected to do in that role, in those roles at the commission?
So our role as Athletes Commission, we've got Athletes Chair, which is Khotso Mokoena now, also done well in athletics himself. And then there are other 8 members. Bongi is part, Bongi Msomi, which my colleague is also part of Athletes Commission as well. Our role is to represent the athletes at the exec board at SASCOC, because obviously that's where all the decisions are made at that level. So as athletes have challenges, have different challenges, whether it's, all the challenges that athletes have, they are raised through obviously federations and clubs, and that we are basically the middlemen who would then take their concerns into the board and back and forth and represent the athletes into the board. Yeah. So there are still current athletes, as you said, athletes commission members. Me and myself retired athlete, because obviously we experienced and gone through the experience of being an athlete and going through all those challenges.
Have you seen any tangible results so far? Because I mean, it's been how many years now? A year or 2 since you were appointed to the commission.
Yeah.
So what has been some of the things that you had to do, and have you seen any improvement or growth from that?
So, for example, things like the allowance, athletes allowance. Let me say, what do you call this? I'm looking for the term. The money that's allowance that comes from SASCOC and supports the athletes that are selected to represent South Africa at the Olympic level. At my time when I was performing, we would sit 3 months with no funds, no support, nothing at all. It was there, you'd sign a contract, obviously you'll receive your contract, and then you would wait for your money. You would think, okay, you'll be told money's coming at the end of the month. And that money basically is a contribution towards your groceries, your medical aid, physios, petrol, basic things that an athlete would require to perform, those simple things.
So basically it's to fix some of the problems that athletes encounter when they are in the national teams.
Yes.
I know some of the former players, I won't mention their names, they've been complaining that they won stuff, but they never got to be paid, stuff like that.
Yeah,
so your role is to sort of iron out those kind of things.
To iron out those kind of things. So the OPEX money, where the OPEX money hasn't been received a month, you still then expect the athletes to perform, and that's their floor, food, and sleeping 8 hours properly, make sure you get proper rest, make sure you get physio. So those are the things we're trying to help to iron out, to make sure that the athlete is
taken care of
so that they can perform at the highest level. Because you are required to perform at the highest level with obviously having to be top 3. You have to medal, basically.
Yeah.
Otherwise you won't get that support. And that's tough when you don't have that support. So as I said, during my time, we had those challenges from the OPEX money. That's one of the examples. And it's gotten better now. So, it's still a challenge because obviously...
You have to keep on working, of course, to improve.
You keep on working with those things. Yeah. And other decisions obviously made regarding, the rules and all the things and forth.
Okay. So let's come back now to our home here at UJ Sport. Just explain the structure of your UJ rowing club, the demographics in terms of who are the student athletes you have in there, even some of the club members who may not necessarily be students at UJ. How is it set up? Who can participate or join your club? And what kind of competitions do you participate in?
Yeah, so our UJ rowing club is open to students, it's open to lecturers, it's open to anyone, it's open to public. Student side of things, we have the university sports, obviously. There's a body, USA. Where only university athletes will participate there. So we have USA sprints, which are happening now in the beginning of April in Cape Town, and then we USA boat race. Those are the two events for rowing USA students. Other than that, we have regattas, which is Germiston Lake. That anyone who joins the UJ rowing club as just a UJ rowing club member, not as a student, will be able to participate at Germiston Lake, which is always in January. It's an annual regatta. And then there's another regatta which is in Buffalo, East London. We normally travel there from Joburg, all the universities and clubs and schools. That's one event where all the schools and clubs, masters and universities are there to take part, and everyone competes. Obviously in your own varsity and clubs like that. Outside of after the Buffalo Regatta, you have then now in April, as I said, USA Sprints. May, you have Gauteng's championships, which are here in Pretoria, which the club members, students all participate there. And then you have SA Champs as well in June. And then you have Students Boat Race, which is in September. So it's almost right through the year, but the season normally starts in September, and it would end around about March for schools, and then it'll be Masters. And this year, South Africa is hosting the Masters World Championships, which are in Pretoria in September. So anyone, so UJ Club is open to anyone. Yes, obviously you pay your students their own club fees. It's a different club fees cost, 2,000 Rand for a scholar. For a club member, you would pay about 1,000 Rand, and for school rowers that actually join under UJ race under the juniors, they would pay also about $500. And then you have novices. Novice is someone who just joined rowing this year. They'll pay about 500 Rand, because obviously that money obviously goes towards running the club, paying for your entry fees, the use of boats. So when the boats are damaged, we need to get them to repairs. We pay for repairs, and just to run the club basically.
When you do your recruitment, do you look at people who obviously excel, because you want a strong team that can compete? But if there's any students that want to join rowing out of interest, do you take that kind of people?
So we recruit anyone. So as you said, we recruit for the high. We want those who want to compete. We what's the word I'm looking for? We cater for everyone.
Yeah.
Those who want to perform at a high level, those who want to just perform, race at the regatta, just row for fun, and those, whoever just wants to row,
people can
want to train and just don't want to race. Yeah, we cater for everyone.
I see.
So we recruit from students. We try obviously set up on open days, at UJ APK campus. We're trying to get to other campuses. Challenges will be obviously getting those students to the water.
Yeah.
We already leave from APK to Germiston. That's where we train in the water. Our training is based at the gym here, a high performance gym. So water and gym. We've got few athletes that are at DFC, so we obviously have access to that gym. We've requested some permission for that gym, which they would train that side. Soweto, I believe we've got 2-3 rowers there that are also training that side, but obviously we as a team sport, we want to train together. So yes, just to answer your question, we're open to everyone who wants to join UJ rowing.
Definitely. And then your rowing at UJ Sport. I know UJ Sport has got 11 clubs. So those clubs are divided into 2 categories. You've got your high performance teams, which is your rugby, football, netball, athletics, cricket.
Yeah.
And then you've got your competitive sport, which is your basketball, hockey, squash, and the others,
And the
right?
others, yeah.
And then you would have then mass participation, where that's where all the general students or staff can participate in those kind of competitions. Why is rowing classified as a competitive sport and not a high performance sport? Is it because of what you have to achieve as a club for you to be ranked in that particular order, or what's going on there?
Obviously, that was set before my time, but I know when I was at the older days, we were part of as a high performance. But that is because, to be honest, I'm not sure of the exact answer, but with more performance, I know that we have performed very well over the years. With more performance and growth and the numbers, we'll be able to get into a high performance level. I mean, there are only 9 universities that have rowing.
Yeah.
And we need to get all other universities to participate, and the sport needs to grow. And as you know, the sport is regarded as white sport. Mm-hmm. So we still need to break through that. We need to get the sport into black people and grow the sport. So eventually we'll get there. We need to just probably perform more and get our more athletes into national squad and more into representing South Africa.
Yeah,
we should be high performance.
So who are some of the youngsters in your team that you think we can look out for, maybe to represent South Africa in international competitions that you think are doing very well?
Yeah. So currently we have Mari and Libone that are actually currently in this.
Libone Mokgeseng
and Mari Bellsmith. They just Mari graduated, I think, last year. Libone is still studying and he took a break. They say he's still part of UJ Rowing Club, but he's obviously pushing to qualify for Olympics at the World Champs this year in August. Yeah, August. So those are the two to look out for currently. They're in a lightweight double, and as I mentioned earlier on, that the lightweight men's double, it's going to be discontinued after Olympics next year. I mean, obviously, the reason being it's a lightweight event. You have to lose weight to be at 70. So IOC doesn't see it as a very serious. It's like boxing, where you stand in a scale, you weigh in before you race. Where lightweight rowing, you weigh in at 72.5 mix, or 70.0 for me. That's 72.5 is for the single, but for the team, Libone and Mari, they all weigh at 70.0. And if you're not there, they don't race. So you have to lose the weight to get you.
So you have to be 70 or below?
Below, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Anything outside of, it's only those two categories currently, and then the rest is heavyweight rowing. Heavyweight rowing, anything above 70 is heavyweight.
Man, let's talk about the boats. Those things are flipping expensive. How much is a boat, bruh?
Wow, yeah. No, that's the biggest challenge.
And I know UJ now, currently, they're buying some new boats for you guys. You've been using some old boats. And just give us an idea of what we're looking at here. How much in the millions? I
just want to say thanks to the new VC that came in. So our budget was approved last year. Approved.
Well done. So Prof. Letlokwa Mbedi there.
Thank you, Prof. Letlokwa.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're getting 5 more new boats. We had actually asked for 4 boats, but obviously depending on the exchange rate and if we will be able to rent our boats to the event that's coming to South African Masters, we'll make enough to pay for the 5th boat. So we have rowing, you don't just have one boat. So you have a single man boat, a one-man sculler. A scull, though, you're looking at about, we're really buying a Swift. So there are different makes of boats. You get a Swift, you get Philippi, you get Impala. It's like a car. You get BMW, you get Audi, you get Toyota, You
get Kia.
Kia, yeah. So those are good cars.
Very good cars.
Yeah, so for a single one-man boat, you're looking at about plus minus. Now the Philippi, I see it goes about 80,000 rand, but I'm looking at Swift, you're paying about 60.
For a single
one-man boat, yeah, single. And then a double, you're looking.
So that's why we don't have this kind of sport in townships and rural areas. Yeah.
Yes. So then for a double, you're looking at about, it used to be 90, 100. 110, 120, somewhere there.
And how many boats do you need as a club
So currently...
for training and competitions?
Depending on the numbers of a club we have. So we're sitting at about 30 plus 30. We have an 8, which is 8 people plus a cox that sits 9. Then you have a cox 4, which sits 4 people with the cox. Then you have a coxless, which was my event, 4 people and a boat. And then you have a quad, also sits 4 with 2 oars. And then you have a double, and then you have a single. So for an 8, you're looking about the one that we are getting about 800 to 800,000 on the Felipe or Impaka side. But you can go lower to a Swift or John Wall, where you can look about 300 to...
For how many boats?
For one boat.
For one boat,
yeah. So that's an 8. For an 8, yeah, you're looking about 500 to 600,000.
So your budget is in the millions, basically.
So, as I said, our budget for buying new boats this year was approved. We haven't bought a boat for 10 years. I mean, if you look after your boats, they last for longer. They're made of, what is it? Carbon.
Yeah.
Carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Then you have riggers that attach into a boat where the oars go in. That's another cost, but they come with the boat. So some of them are made of aluminium, carbon. Then you still have the oars that you need to buy as well. So the oar per oar, it's about 2,000 rand per blade. So yeah, as I said, per single you're looking about plus minus 80,000 rand, and then for a double you're looking about plus minus 120,000 rand. For a 4 you're looking about 180 to 200,000.
So the more people, the more money.
Yeah, the more money, the more seats in the boat.
Yeah, it is quite expensive. Let's, lastly, in closing, let's speak about your charitable events that you have done over the years. I know you had done this virtual race, or what is it? A virtual challenge. Yeah. So your rowers had to complete a 1,000, how many kilometers?
It was a 1,000 kilometers on a rowing
1,000 kilometers on a rowing machine,
yeah.
which if you measure it, it's from Johannesburg to
Port Alfred,
in the Eastern Cape.
In the Eastern Cape.
You were doing that for a charity.
So we're doing that for a charity and also to raise just funds for charity and UJ rowing. It was also just after the COVID times, if you remember, 2020.
So how does it work? Maybe explain to somebody that doesn't understand how you do that.
So how it worked is that the 1,000 kilometers, a club will have to cover the 1,000 kilometers. And to
at one go?
Yeah, and in one go, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be non-stop. So in a 30 rowers we have, the start was in 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. The first rower will start at 8 o'clock and do a 10 kilometer or whatever, how many kilometers they do.
On a machine.
On a machine. The next rower will come in. Yeah. And then keep pulling. They do as much as they can. But I think at the time, the one rower had to do 5,000 kilometers twice or 3 times. So you can come in the morning and do your slot, and come midday and do your slot, and afternoon do the slot.
500 again. Or 50?
5,000. I mean,
50?
Yeah.
50 kilometers.
50 kilometers.
Sure. Yeah. So what they do is they take turns. So one would do a certain distance, and then they stop, another one comes and does, and until they complete that 1,000.
Until we complete the 1,000.
Is it hectic?
It's quite hectic. I mean, you're not racing it. The aim is to complete, because obviously, as I said, it was to raise funds for the charity.
Yeah.
It's a distance we drive from Joburg to Port Alfred, and at that time, during COVID, we weren't allowed to travel to Port Alfred.
So who would pledge money for that? Who pledged maybe in the past?
Community, corporate, so it was open to anyone to pledge money. Corporates, community, clubs, individuals that did pledge money. Yeah.
Okay, so good conversation. Thank you very much for making time. The team does well. I know that you've got quite a young squad. Liam Fortain is one of the people that is looking after your athletes there. Yeah. So, yeah, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
To you, Colin, and UJTV. It's been an awesome conversation.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. So, thank you very much for joining us. If you have been listening, this is UJTV, and you are listening to Sizwe Ndlovu on UJ Sport. He's one of the coaches within the UJ Sport division, and he's been talking to us about his journey in rowing in the South African sport fraternity. He won a gold medal in the 2012 London Olympics, and we just needed to talk to him and hear more about what he's doing now, what he's done in the past, and quite a lovely gentleman. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and don't forget to leave your comment below the comment section. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.